The tropics for now are shutting down as Hurricane Erin begins to drown, but arriving soon, the winds of fall behind one trough to rule them all. Hi everyone, welcome into the channel. The beans are all over the floor. The bag is all out of cats, and I've given away the whole show in the teaser, but I hope you stick around anyway. This is the Friday feel-good edition. We get a little bit crazy, but we have a lot of fun. You learn some things along the way, and if you stick around for a couple of minutes, I've got a weather IQ question I'm sure none of you will get, but you can try anyway, and you can see if you know what you think you know. We've got a big sunspot cluster on the far side of the sun that's emitted some big solar flares over the past couple of days. We're going to take a look at what implications that has for us, and when that fall weather gets here, just how long is it going to stick around? We're going to answer all those questions, take a look at your weekend forecast. We're going to start right here in the tropics. Yes, my name is Jason. The rumors are true. I've been tracking weather for over 40 years, believe it or not. And I'm going to tell you what I see as I look at the tropics this morning. And what I see right now is Hurricane Erin weakening in a steady fashion. There is the center of circulation. Let's make this pink so we can see a little bit better. There's the center of circulation. Still can't draw. There it goes. Perfect. And why can we see it? Because it is exposed. Why is it exposed? Well, we're getting winds blowing, blasting it apart out of the south and west, and you can see all the cold cloud tops moving off to the northeast. That is indicative of strong shear, and this thing is moving on down the road now at 22 miles per hour off to the northeast. By mid next week, it'll be in a position to meander around off the coast of Ireland and the UK, and so we got to watch it over here and see if it eventually spins around. The GFS ensembles has it kind of spinning around. Eventually, some of them take it in, so have to watch that. But that's what's going on. It's up to 956 millibars in terms of the pressure, and the winds down to 90 miles per hour as of the latest advisory. Rip currents today up and down the entire eastern seaboard. There's a risk of rip currents. The southern-facing beaches get the biggest break, as you would probably imagine, get a little bit more of a break, particularly in the southern beaches of North Carolina, down here, Riceville Beach, Carolina Beach. But pay attention to those flags, folks. It's going to be choppy out here in the Atlantic. Big waves still as Erin makes its way out of the picture, but don't go in the water. We've had a lot of water rescues. People have drowned already. A lot of wind still out here, gusty winds just offshore. Most of the areas of the coast now, we still have some coastal flood advisories, but most of the areas here are seeing less and less winds. We go way out here on Cape Cod, 42 miles per hour. Out here on the tip of Long Island, we're looking at about 30 miles per hour. Get up here close to Yarmouth, and it's 31 miles per hour. So right along the coast where your gusty winds are inland, you drop off pretty quick in the wind department there, but it is moving out fast. There it is. You can see it in the big picture, and just heading on out to sea. And here are a couple of more tropical waves out here we got to keep our eye on, at least in the short term. This one here, a couple of different solutions. One takes it this way, one let's get the rest of the air on there, buddy. And then one takes it a little closer to Bermuda. So Bermuda, you definitely got to keep your eye out. Got another one down here, pretty robust tropical wave, a little dry air catching up to it. So we've got one wave, two waves, three waves, wave here, wave there, waves everywhere. And look at this, coming off of Africa. We drag this over. Here's a wave, and another wave. You know what else is coming off of Africa? Dust. We've got dust and dry air, and that is going to plague us for a little bit down here in the tropics, and that's what's going on. We're going to take a look at this. I did a video late last night about the tropics kind of shutting down for a temporary time period, so I did a little bit of a deep dive there and listed all the reasons why that's going to happen. Now, I'll have it linked in the show. Check it out, or actually, I don't know, the lighting was terrible and my edits didn't come through, so maybe you shouldn't check it out. I don't know, but I'm not sure about that, but the content was good, at least I hope. But here is what's going on out here in the Atlantic right now. Pac-Man would be proud of this. There he is right there. He's getting hungry looking at all this fruit out here. We've got, it's a terrible Pac-Man. We've got a strawberry here of 90% probabilities. Look at this. I'll have a crawler, by the way, running. You see that down at the bottom of the screen. It has all these details in it. But this has a 90% chance of development. But it's going to go out to sea and follow Erin. Probably won't affect anybody unless it affects Bermuda. You got to keep your eyes on it there, but it doesn't look like it's going to be strong. Little lemon drop. We had a big lemon area out here yesterday, but now it has a 0% chance of development, so it's going nowhere fast. right there. This one's going to go up here and die. And then you've got this one that's moving through. It's kind of interesting. Yesterday it looked like the conditions were going to get really unfavorable and blast this thing apart, but it's held together. It's got some dry air feeding into it, so it may not actually develop, but it's got it's up to what, a 50% chance now to develop over the next 7 days. So we're going to watch that. Eventually it's going to get in here. It should weaken and die as well, but we're going to keep our eye on it. But by and large, conditions are becoming more hostile over the next couple of weeks. We've got sinking air, we've got dry air, we've got some wind shear down here in the main development region. Where I would focus here is in the Gulf and off the southeast coast, and I'll show you why that is. The GFS, as a matter of fact, takes this little low pressure, the one that's got a 90% chance of developing, and let's get on a better display. There we go. And it moves it on up toward Bermuda. It takes it down to about a 998, 999 low, just to the east of Bermuda now. Yesterday it had it directly over it. And there it goes on out to sea. Nothing else is really showing down here in the tropics, but look off the southeast coast. Got a frontal boundary that's going to drape out here. Could see a couple of low pressure areas spin up. You get on out here to about 300 hours. GFS does what it likes to do Wednesday the 3rd of September, and it develops something here and runs it into the coastline, and you get a little bit of flooding potential here in the Carolinas. Don't take that as gospel yet. We've got to watch and see, but that frontal boundary there'll be a couple of different frontal boundaries that kind of linger off the coast. Could always see something pop up there. Nothing else going on though. European takes that little low. There goes Erin. The next little low comes up. It takes it well east of Bermuda, keeps it very, very light, spins up a little something, tries to along the coast of North Carolina, gets it on out to sea too. So we don't have a landfalling pattern from coming in from the Atlantic. That's the good news. And as we roll this on out, nothing else is going on. You start to get another frontal boundary here and a little wave along that. It goes on up and hits Avalon Peninsula, but nothing else is going on till you get way on out here, and still just waves coming across, bringing squally weather into the islands. So down here in the Caribbean, definitely got to watch for some rain. European ensemble, look for tight clustering of little numbers. You see these little numbers, when you see a lot of those tightly clustered together, that's good agreement that something's going to happen. And of course, good agreement with Erin there, and pretty good agreement down here with this second little area that's moving up into the Atlantic. And everything else down here gets dissipated, and you don't really see anything. A little clustering off the North Carolina and South Carolina coast, but it moves on out, doesn't do anything, really develop. No strong signal for a tropical cyclone anywhere over the next 2 weeks, according to the European ensembles, and the GFS pretty much is the same thing. There goes the next signal out in the Atlantic, and then everything else looks just scattering of members here showing various things, but nothing showing anything close to a big signal for a tropical cyclone. Over the next 2 weeks, need to watch the Gulf and the Bay of Campeche. This area here has been undisturbed, off the southeast coast as well, but in the Gulf particularly undisturbed, with very, very, very warm waters, boiling water. So anything gets into that, we're going to have problems in a hurry. Troughs are going to keep things out of the United States from coming in from the Atlantic. Going to have too much southwesterly wind, and it's going to punt it back out. But if something gets into the Gulf, we could see something explode if conditions in the upper levels are right, because we've got a lot of fuel there. We're watching all of that. I'll be watching it. I'll be reporting to you every day on it. If anything changes, I'll let you know. But as we head towards September, which is the peak of hurricane season, we could see things turn around and get a little bit more favorable out here in the Atlantic. Now we've got your weather IQ question. Stick around, see if you can answer it. Then we've got your weekend forecast, and we're going to take a look at the long range and that big sunspot cluster on the back side of the sun. What's it doing? Well, we're going to talk about that. All right, on second thought, you may be able to get this. I hope you can. If you can't, that's okay. Stick around to the end of the show and I'll tell you the answer then. In the meantime, if you haven't yet subscribed, if you like what you're seeing, please consider joining the team. We've had a lot of new members, a lot of growth. This channel's growing rapidly, and really, really appreciate all the support, all the kind comments. Leave a comment if there's anything I can pray over about. Put it in there. I will do it. I pray for you every day anyway, and we want to pray for each other, encourage each other, build each other up. We need a lot of that, more of that in the world. And give us a like if you like the content. It all helps YouTube push this out, reach a wider audience. But thank you so much for people for you all who have subscribed. Now, here is the Weather IQ question, and let's see if you can get this. Okay, so here it is. Which state has been hit by the most hurricanes in history? Okay, North Carolina, Louisiana, Texas, or Florida? If you know the answer, type in the comments. If not, just wait till the end of the show. And if you think you know who second place is, put that in there too. That'll be interesting to see how much we know about this. And I'll tell you all of that information here coming up in a little bit. But right now, we're going to look at the weekend forecast and that fall weather. All right, going to start out here with your air quality. Not too bad today. Just got a couple of spots here up in where Montana and Idaho meet, and then down here in western Colorado, and then over here in Phoenix and Sacramento and the LA basin. Everybody else looking pretty good. No wildfire smoke for a change up here in the Midwest. Here is your alert map. Still plenty of coastal flood advisories up here in the mid-Atlantic, but those should be abating as we go over the next couple of days. But any coastal highways probably are getting overwashed, so don't drive out there. Flood watch up here in parts of Georgia, Athens, Augusta, over here toward Beaufort and Savannah and Charleston in South Carolina as well for the next couple of days. Little batches of heavy rain. Got a frontal boundary that's just been stalled along the southeast. Now that's not going to stay that way forever, but it is going to stay that way for a couple of more days, and energy out here can certainly bring in a heavy rain and downpours with these thunderstorms in the tropical air mass. And we've got, look at this, up here in South Dakota, we've got a little MCS moving through, as I said it would, and it's prompted some flood warnings up there. Extreme heat warnings for the next couple of days here in the southwest for temperatures in the 100 and teens. Heat advisories in the basin over here, looking at the Great Basin and the Intermountain West, San Joaquin Valley over the next couple of days as well for hot temperatures. And extreme heat watches are up for much of the first part of next week for up here in the interior Northwest. Going to be under a ridge out there, and you guys are going to be baking in the heat. The surface map here shows that boundary. There it is. Here it is, just sitting here, get little waves of low pressure enhancing the rainfall down here in the southeast, and I've seen rain every day right in here in Morganton. Got another front coming in, and we're going to see that little MCS lay down a boundary later this afternoon. Could see some severe weather from Wausau back to Minneapolis, back here into Sioux Falls and Sioux City, and back into Lincoln, Omaha, back along this boundary, really Cheyenne, Casper, and back into Boulder and Denver. We could see severe weather kind of in this corridor today. Not a robust chance, but certainly isolated wind, hail is possible, especially back here in Wyoming and Colorado. You can see those storms kind of move off of the higher terrain, get into the lower terrain, and also Phoenix, by the way, and in and around southwestern Arizona could see a few severe thunderstorms as well. We got a double barrel front coming through, folks, tomorrow. We got a big punch of cool air coming out of Canada. We're going to show you that on the temperature map here in a second, but up and down the Ohio Valley and through the mid-south into the southeast on Saturday, which is tomorrow, looking at some potential showers and thunderstorms out ahead of this front, and then back into the Four Corners region. Monsoon will flow intact, and we get on into Sunday, going to wake up to some rain probably up and down the eastern seaboard, back into the Four Corners region as well. Taking a look at timing all of that stuff out, we go through the morning hours, we're seeing that cluster push into Minnesota around Minneapolis around midday, and then we'll see showers breaking out along that front. A few of these could have some isolated pockets of severe weather back into the Four Corners region. The southeast lights up in our flood watch zone. We start to see some heavy clustering of showers and thunderstorms. Northeast looking good back through the mid-Mississippi Valley into the southern plains, not too bad. And in the northwest, you guys are high and dry as well. As we get on into the evening, everything will kind of dissipate except here in Kansas and over into Missouri, where we see that kind of hold together a bit. And then fire back up Saturday as we start to warm up. Big showers and storms again back through the southeast and the Four Corners region. We'll see the front light up here too a little bit. There it is, kind of coming together, interior New York State down through Charleston, West Virginia, back in toward Tennessee, Bristol, and Knoxville, and places like that. And then things will die out again as we get on into Saturday night. Sunday morning could wake up to some showers and thunderstorms, places like Albany down here in towards central Pennsylvania, and that'll move eastward as we head through the day. Another little disturbance off the coast gets its act together and moves on out, and then central plains back here in the Four Corners region Sunday afternoon and evening, and into the southeast we'll see some scattered showers and thunderstorms. But back in the northern plains down here in Texas up through the Ohio Valley, looking pretty good for Sunday all in all. And there's your rain footprint. The biggest footprint is down here over the southeast and up through the southern Appalachians, just like I said, and then back over here into Colorado and Kansas. Could see a couple of inches of rain fall as well. Temperature wise, folks, we're going to be talking about fall weather coming in a hurry. Here it is. Today we're looking at 60s up here. We're just getting into the northern border. northern sections of the country, 70s across the northern tier, 70s up in the northeast, and low 80s down the spine of the Appalachians and over into the Piedmont sections of the Carolinas, 90s and stretching back into the central plains from Florida back into the plains. Going to be muggy for another day or two, and then hot in the interior northwest, really, really hot down here in the southwest. And that continues tomorrow. Heat continues to build out west and across the southern tier as well. Muggy conditions, and it's going to warm up a little bit in places up into the mid-Atlantic and New England as Erin pulls away. But look what's coming. 60s up here in the Midwest, 70s around that, and we get on into Sunday, wrap up the weekend. Some even 50s showing up just right along the border and north into Canada over Lake Superior, but 70s pushing in ahead of that front. These temperatures are going to get squashed farther and farther south as we head through the week. We'll take a look at that right now in the long-range forecast, but still hot in the desert southwest, up into the interior northwest, getting up toward 100 degrees near Spokane. And there you have it, folks. That's your weekend forecast. We're going to take a look at the long range now and then wrap things up with the space weather here in just a minute. Start off the long-range forecast by looking at the departures from normal month to date through the 20th. Look at this big below normal August underway here in the southeast and lower mid-Atlantic. This is just incredible weather, folks, across the northern tier and the west as well. You guys are going to be warming up, though, substantially. Four Corners region up through the Mississippi Valley into the Great Lakes into the northeast been warmer than normal. Is that going to change? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look here and see if we can understand what the European model is showing us here for the next several days. Look at this. All right, so big anticyclone, this high pressure ridge, has migrated back here to the Four Corners region, and you've got this big trough that is working in. Look at this ridge. You see this ridge? It extends all the way up here. There's a big low out here in the Gulf of Alaska, and it is helping to pump this ridge up. When that ridge goes up out there, if I'm looking at this in the wintertime, I'm seeing a big Arctic outbreak. Well, it's getting into late summer, and we're seeing a fall outbreak instead. But look at this. As we put this along, look at that big trough just coming in like gangbusters, shooting down out of Canada, bringing everything Canada's got in terms of cool weather into the United States through the Great Lakes. It punches it on in as we go on out to Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. That trough just reinforces big ridge all the way up in Canada, another low coming in here to help reinforce that ridge. So European is very excited about having a big deep trough in the east from essentially the plains east. As we get on to the next Sunday, it keeps the pattern in place, reinforces it again. You stay outside here with this trough in the east, and then by the end of the run, look what happens. Huge jet extension making it all the way in. If I saw this in wintertime, I would just cancel winter for the next 2 weeks because you've got flooding of the continent with mild Pacific air. But that's what the European says. Of course, it's an operational run, and we have we can rely on it because it has some agreement with the GFS over the next 7 to 10 days. But beyond that, things happen and the pattern gets shaken up. So we don't want to take it as gospel way out in time. But anyway, big blast of cool air coming in. Look at this as we get on into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Everybody's getting on. And these green anomalies, folks, are start to get in these bright greens. We're talking 5, 6, 7 degrees below normal. Purples, 10 degrees below normal for this time of year, which is incredible. Another big blast coming in. Anywhere you see the blue, we're below normal, and this goes on out to 2 weeks, and then things start to turn around a little bit. But see some blocking up in Canada holding this trough in place. That's the European model again, but we've got a big date with fall coming up, folks. It's going to stick around for a while as we start to get out toward 10, 14 days. We're still in that cool pattern, but in the east anyway, but things are going to start trending back, and we'll see summer come back in probably as we get on into mid-September. Here's the 6 to 10 day. I'm going to keep showing this because this is just remarkable for this time of year. Florida, southern Texas, northwest, above, everybody else much below, particularly over here in the Ohio Valley toward the east, and then Alaska mostly above, Hawaii mostly above. Precipitation patterns much above here, signal in the Four Corners region out here in the Intermountain West, Rocky Mountains back down into the southern plains across the southeast, and below normal in the Great Lakes, where you have that trough. Everything else underneath that trough, you've got the potential for some thunderstorms and that kind of thing. Energy moving along in the flow above in Alaska and near normal in Hawaii. And here's the pattern as we take a look over the next couple of weeks from their European ensembles. We get on out here toward Monday, big trough, big ridge in the west, big trough in the east. That signal kind of stays in place, generally speaking. See that ridge up here in Canada, just a general troughing signal in the east. You're going to have waves of energy kind of moving through the middle of the country. And then we get way on down the road and we start to see a signal for maybe a trough in the center portion of the country or the west. GFS shows this too. That puts a little bit more ridging response out in the east, and maybe we'll see either a flat flow or a ridge start to build in. And this would be concerning if I'm looking at this from a tropical standpoint. We get on out about 2 weeks out, tropical systems kind of work in this way around that ridge if that doesn't come to fruition as expected. Okay, so that's it. That's the long range. We're going to look at the geological update. I'll have the answer to today's IQ question coming right up. All right, going to wrap things up with our space weather and geological update. And as you can see, we are under no geomagnetic storm conditions whatsoever. That could change as we get into next week. But right now, all is calm, all is bright, all is quiet. KP index below 4, and the coronal hole, the largest portion of it is on the northern side of the disk, meaning enhanced solar winds going to miss us to the north largely. There is a little sliver, little tentacle here down the equator of the sun. Could clip us, but I'm not really expecting much out of that. However, the coronagraph is lighting up with activity on the far side of the sun. We're seeing those sunspots back there continue to shoot off energy into space, solar flares and so forth. You can see it. We had a full disk CME yesterday, and so if that was facing us, we'd have a lot more to talk about, and that those sunspots are going to be rotating around and face us next week. We're going to see what happens there. The only one that we're concerned about here is 4191 coming in around the limb here. None of these other ones do anything, and there it is. It's not very big and complex. It's got positive leading negative in terms of charges. We'd want to see these mixed together if we want to see an increased risk of solar flare. We had a 7.5 earthquake though in the Drake Passage. Where is that? Well, let's zoom out and I'll show you. It's way down here at the tip of South America, between South America and Antarctica. Fortunately, no tsunami and no damage have been reported with that, but we did have a 4.4 over here in Romania. They're probably okay. That's not too big, but that just happened a little bit ago. Volcano, we're missing one. Where did Spur go? Well, it's been discontinued. Out of here, Spur. You're not doing anything. You're going to get off the list. Sitkin and Kilauea are still active, so we're watching them. And then finally, we're down to 0.7% on the moon. That's going down to full moon status, 2:06 a.m. tomorrow or late tonight, whatever you want to think, however you want to think of it. This site is really cool, time and date. I love it. Here, let's go back. I want to go back to this. That's not where I want to go back to. Look at this. Let's go back over here. There's your fall countdown. I like this because it shows you where it's light and where it's dark. If you ever needed to know that, the sun is sunning up the U.S. and dawn is dawning on the west coast. But there it is. Time and date is fun. It's got cool things like a fall countdown, 31 days till calendar fall, for example. It tells you all about the night sky. It tells you how much daylight's chopping off every single day. It tells you about meteor showers, and it counts you down to certain things like fall and Christmas. Meteorological fall is in quite a few less days than 31 days. That is referring to calendar fall. It's September the 22nd, and that brings us all the way back around to the answer to today's IQ question. Did you get it right? Do you think you got it? Which state has been hit by the most hurricanes throughout history? And I will tell you the answer. You probably did get it right. The answer is Florida with 120, doubling up almost the second place runner-up, I should say. Second place runner-up, the same thing. By the skin of its teeth, Texas at 64, Louisiana coming in third at 63, and North Carolina bringing up the caboose, honorable mention at 58. How about that? Now you know tropical cyclones. Now you know the weather. Hope you've enjoyed the show today, folks. Thank you again for joining me. And I will put out another video Saturday and Sunday, but they'll be a little bit shorter. We'll do a full Cold Rains episode, a Weather Worlds episode on Monday. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And as always, Cold Rain reminds you the weather runs 24/7, but we got you covered right here, right now. Cold Rain's Weather World 48-14. Take care, everybody. Bye.